We've got a good one on Sunday Night Football this week. The Cincinnati Bengals travel to New England to face the Patriots. Cincinnati is a 2.5-point favorite on BETDAQ. 46 is the total in this game. Now the Bengals, the best team in football right now by any objective measure. They're undefeated. They've covered in all their games. They lead the league in point differential. They lead the league in points allowed. They're only surrendering 11 points per game. And this New England offense has had problems lately. And not just in last week's blowout loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, but even in their win in Week 3 over Oakland, the offense only produced 16 points. I mean, something is wrong with this New England offense. The offensive line isn't playing well. Tom Brady all of a sudden doesn't seem to be surrounded by much of the wide receiver position. Wasn't surrounded by much last season either, but Brady was able to play well enough where, especially over the second half of the year, not a whole lot of people talked about it. But that's not happening right now. Everybody's talking about it. Haven't heard so much negativity about a 500 team in my entire life. I mean, if you zoom out here a little bit and look at the big picture, New England 500, tied for first in a weak AFC East. So if they can get it together, I mean, they're still fine. We could be looking back in several weeks and laughing at how everybody was talking like the sky was falling in Week 5. But first things first, they have to get it together. And it's going to be a tough ask against this Cincinnati Bengals team. As we said, the Bengals so good on defense. Now, the Cincinnati offense might not be quite as good as the numbers would indicate. They faced a couple of really weak defenses over the last couple of games. Tennessee Titans, the Atlanta Falcons, and New England, before they melted down last week in Kansas City, was playing very well on the defensive side of the ball. They were top 5 in most defensive categories heading into last week, and they're still top 10 in most defensive categories even after their performance last week. But certainly understandable if your confidence in that New England defense has been shaken a little bit after watching Alex Smith and the Kansas City Chiefs just go up and down the field. Still, I think this New England defense is going to play much better this week. Cincinnati, limited passing game thanks to Andy Dalton, who's a limited quarterback. The Bengals do have one of the best receivers in the league in A.J. Green, but I don't have a whole lot of faith in Dalton. He's been bad in big games throughout his career, and this definitely a big game. Prime time, the NFL watching world will be tuning in. And the Bengals haven't been running the ball particularly well either this season. Gio Bernard, an impressive young running back, but the Bengals averaging less than 4 yards per carry, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if this is a very low-scoring game, much like what we saw last year when these two teams met in Cincinnati. Bengals pulling out a 13-6 win in that game. Don't think it's going to be quite that low-scoring, but I do look at under 46 here as a bet that makes a whole lot of sense. In terms of sides, I mean, listen, I guess I lean towards Cincinnati. It's hard not to. I mean, after all, there is no such thing as due. You saying the Patriots are due for a win or due for a good performance, that's a good way as a sports bettor to lose a whole lot of money. Due just doesn't really exist. These guys try as hard as they can every game, more or less. I mean, there might be some small motivation factor, but really, it's not like the Bengals guy is going to try any less hard. I mean, this is Sunday Night Football. These Cincinnati Bengals players have been dreaming their whole lives playing on Sunday Night Football, going on the road against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. So even though New England has everything to play for, and the Cincinnati Bengals, I guess, could afford a loss, it's not like these Cincinnati guys, they're going to be going at it full bore, believe me. And again, Cincinnati's just been better than New England this season. They've had a better defense, much better defense. They've had a better offense. So I do lean towards Cincinnati here. That being said, would it surprise me at all if Tom Brady was able to rally the troops and New England pulled out a win and Belichick had a smug press conference where he just sort of gave a few I told you so shrugs to the press corps? That would not surprise me one bit. I think this is going to be an excellent game. I look for a close, low-scoring game. I do believe under 46 is my favorite bet. And like I said, it's tough for me to turn away from Cincinnati here, even though this is definitely not one of my favorite games of Week 5.